Ever since the early 2010s, Southside has cemented himself as one of the most influential producers in hip-hop. By working closely with some of the biggest rappers in the game like Future, Gucci Mane, 21 Savage, and Young Thug, and producing countless hits with them, Southside helped shape the sound of modern trap music. And unlike many producers who have a few big years and then fall off, Southside has maintained his status as a super producer and cornerstone of the Atlanta sound for well over a decade. So in today's video, we're going to go in depth making our own Southside inspired beat and break down what it is about Southside's iconic production style that keeps huge artists coming back for beats time and time again, year after year. When I think of Southside's beats, the first thing that comes to mind is hard-ass trap drums with distorted 808s and crazy hi-hat rolls. But there's also another key aspect to his production: the simple but ear-grabbing and repetitive melodies that create a canvas for his drums. And when I say simple, I mean simple. A lot of his hardest records really just revolve around one minor chord for the entire melody.
My bitch a press a cut, little demon in the cut, you mean? Go raiding that. Draped in all designer, draped in all designer, draped in all designer. So hard. Why these niggas capping so hard?
Repetitiveness is key to Southside beats. A lot of people look down on these super simple one chord kind of melodies, but they don't realize that a lot of times it's done on purpose. Having a super repetitive melody that just relies on one chord makes the melody feel super aggressive and gives the beat a bunch of dark energy, which is exactly what you want when you're making a Southside beat. So to get this melody started, I took some inspiration from Lil Demon and put down one minor chord that has some notes inverted here and there just to make it sound more interesting and big. I'll show you what I mean in a second, but this is what it sounds like. All right, so these chords right here are inverted, and it doesn't look anything too crazy, but really all it is these top notes right here are actually the root note of the chords. So normally the chord sounds like this, right? Then we also have the root note down an octave right there. So since we already have that low tone with the root note, if we put this up an octave, we're gonna get a higher tone as well, and we still have that lower one that's filling out the low end and these ones filling out the mid end right here, and it just sounds a little bit more dramatic. So I'll play this first chord right here with no inversions, and the second one with this note inverted up an octave. Once I had that sound down, I bounced it to audio and then layered it with itself, pitched up an octave just to give it even more energy, and then I made a B section where I half sped that audio so that it kind of slows down and gets lower in pitch and creates more space in the high end for more instruments. Anyways, now that we got that dark synth chord down, I wanted to mention another key part of Southside's melodies: legendary sample makers like Q Beats and Vu. Southside went on a huge run with these dark, detuned, crazy samples, and these are 100% some of my favorite beats that he's ever produced. And most of these samples have a few things in common. One is live, real instruments, and the second is detuned sounds. And one of the first sounds that comes to mind for these kind of samples are guitars, like the ones on these records.
I put my head to a crowd. Bitch, Brad Strikers good. Yeah.
After listening back to these, I specifically wanted to add some simple detuned guitar, really like the one on Ride In Strikers. It just has that really weird, trippy, evil kind of sound to it. And to really enhance that dirty, low quality kind of sound, I actually purposely recorded everything on my voice memo app for the guitar instead of my high quality microphones, which give it a cleaner, more typical sound. And for the notes, I'm literally just playing along with that minor chord that we put down earlier, plucking two of the strings and doing little half step evil melodies. Super simple stuff. To sauce up this guitar a little bit, the first thing I did was put on this tape from my Tone Flex plugin, which adds this detuned kind of sound to it. I'll show you a little before and after. So this is without it. Add that tape. Gets that really weird, warped kind of sound. And then I added this LA2A compressor that really helps getting that kind of vintage sampled vibe. And you get this, which sounds way more interesting. Make sure to keep an eye out for that Tone Flex plugin. It's coming out soon. Now, to add even more dark energy with those live instruments, I wanted to take a dark, trippy violin, like the one you can hear on Doughboy, Lil Uzi, and Southside's Bussin'.
Ain't nigga said fuck me, his bitch like me, and he broke it to me.
Quick side note, I think that Southside's hardest beats are on his albums that he releases with people like Doughboy and G Herbo. That might not be the most mainstream, huge records he's been a part of, but those tapes where he's listed as a co-artist often have the craziest beats. Anyways, to get that bussin' vibe like you just heard, the first thing I did was grab a dark violin starter from my Mini Stash 3 kit, and I chopped it up so it's only playing that one minor chord, the same exact chord that those synths are playing, and that sounds like this. Then I wanted to add a little bit more catchiness and energy to the violin, so I went back into the Mini Stash 3 kit and grabbed a live violin top line melody, which sounds like this. This sounds fire for sure, but I wanted it to be less clear that it's a violin. A lot of Southside's beats have super trippy melodies, and especially in his older stuff, you can hear him using stuff like gross beat and Effectrix on a lot of his melodies to get this warped, glitchy kind of sound. So I went into my upcoming Tone Flex plugin just to mess around and kind of flip this violin a little bit by using my reverse delay. And this effect essentially chops, reverses, delays, and filters the audio all at the same time. And it's super good to take something and flip it in a usable way. For the last sound of this melody, I wanted to take some inspiration from one of my all-time favorite Southside beats, Clout by Offset and Cardi B.
Diamonds on fleek, bitch ain't talking about heat.
I love that repetitive and catchy piano, so I wanted to keyscape and play this dark, repetitive triplet kind of melody on the piano. Then I threw it through my Tone Flex plugin, some half speed, and a UAD LA2A compressor. All that just to give it that detuned vintage Q beats kind of sound, and you get this. Now, all the sounds of the melody are done, but I just felt like it needed a little bit more energy. Southside's beats always have this super aggressive, high energy kind of feeling to them, so I wanted to use a simple trick that you can use to take your melodies from feeling a little bit too slow and drawn out to having way more energy without adding anything. All you need to do is just speed it up anywhere from 2 times to 4 times as fast. And sometimes you might have to look around in the melody for parts of the melody that aren't as busy for it to work well. So I found this part that I really liked in the melody, sped it up 4 times as fast as it normally was, but kept the pitch the same. Take a listen to before and after speeding it up. It adds a ton of energy if you ask me, and now it's just screaming for some Southside type drums. So let's get into those. Southside's drums hit super hard because of 2 key factors: the way he mixes his drums and the sounds that he uses. And if we're being honest, everyone can find these kind of generic trap sounds that he made popular online on Reddit or somewhere, but people still can't get their beats to hit like his. So if you want your stuff to hit like Southside's instantly, I've got something crazy for you. So I just go down here into the trap project templates, and I'm going to choose this Atlanta trap template. And then as you can see, it has all of the sounds pre-selected for you for this kind of beat. And if you look at the mixer, all of the leveling, EQing, and all that stuff has been done. So to show you how easy this is to use, I'm just going to drag in a melody from the drum mastery kit. And then you could literally just start dragging in hi-hat midis, maybe even an 808 MIDI like this. Put that on key really quick. Put down a little clap, some open hats following that 808. And I could find a fire snare roll MIDI. And within less than a minute, you get something like this. This drum mastery kit has over 20 of those pre-mixed and pre-sound selected templates, and not just for trap. It's got R&B, vintage, reggaeton, Afro beats, experimental stuff, of course some hard trap stuff, pop stuff, a little bit of everything. It's got those templates, it's got really high quality drum sounds, of course, matching perk loops and drum fills for each genre. So if you're tired of your drums not hitting right, I 100% recommend Drum Mastery. I think it's the best drum kit that money can buy, and it'll be the first link in the description down below, so make sure to go grab that. And I really can't stress it enough, these templates feel like cheating. You literally just open up one of these project templates. It works in Logic, Ableton, FL Studio. Just put down good patterns and it'll sound good. Every sound that you're gonna hear on the drums on this beat is gonna be from Drum Mastery, and I'm actually gonna be using my ATL trap template that I just showed you for the rest of the video. But anyways, back into it. Like I said in the beginning of this video, Southside's drums are 100% the most iconic part about his production. Anytime someone uses those crazy hi-hat rolls, Southside and 808 Mafia instantly come to mind. Anyways, I've got some key ingredients that are the easiest formula to get that Southside sound. The first one is using FL Studio. Southside himself swears by using FL 11.
I still use Fruity Loops 11 and 10. Like, it looked totally different and all that.
While I haven't personally used FL 11, I can definitely say that trap drums hit way harder on FL Studio compared to Logic. As someone who's been producing on Logic for like 8 years, as soon as I started making drums on FL Studio, they started hitting exactly like I wanted. Anyways, next thing you're gonna need is a Spins 808, an aggressive snare, a super high-end, heavy, and longer hi-hat sample, of course with those signature Southside hi-hat rolls, a harsh open hat sound, and some sort of accent or roll snare sound. He doesn't really add too many sounds to his beats, but he uses busier patterns with those sounds that he does use. A lot of Southside's beats sit at a tempo of around 130 to 160 BPM, but after listening back through his catalog when I was making this video, I came to realize I really love his slower beats. They just have so much bounce.
Haiti on the rollie and I still ain't got time. Geeking on the lean water ocean.
Every time I fuck, I gotta hit me lean like two bitch.
Those slower beats hit so hard, and I feel like that slower tempo just leaves so much more room for you to do crazy hi-hat rolls, snare rolls, and all that good stuff. So to start it off, I set the BPM to 119 and put down an aggressive sounding snare to go with our loop. Next up, the hi-hats. Crazy hi-hats and Southside go hand in hand. I feel like if I hear crazy hi-hats, the first thing I think of is Southside. But I think when people are trying to emulate his style, they really overdo the hi-hats and they go way too crazy with the rolls. Because if you listen to a lot of his biggest records, they do have that signature 808 Mafia hi-hat roll kind of sound, but they're not going crazy overboard to where you can't even rap on the beat.
I'm about to fuck this cash up on a new toy. About to fuck this cash up.
All right, this is what we got for the hi-hat roll, so I'm gonna play it and then show you guys how you can do something similar. Cool, so the easiest way that you can do this is just starting with a two-step pattern like this, and then just listen and try to hear where you can hear rolls kind of coming in. Once you've got a few ideas of where you want to put the rolls, the easiest way to get that Southside roll kind of sound is just to go right here to third step and then click this paintbrush tool so that you can start to put in rolls like this. This roll right here, this little he uses that one a lot. And he always does them in the low pitches. So something like that would work perfect. Next up, we gotta have a distorted, hard-hitting 808. It wouldn't be an 808 Mafia beat without that, right? And my favorite drums from Southside always have that super harsh, gritty, clipping 808 sound.
I'm on a boat in the pipe, can't stop me from copping a new Maserati. Trying so bad, she spoils you. Ain't no cap, real rap, I'm trapping, babe. Real ice on both my sleeves.
I love the mix on Lil Demon especially, which by the way, shout out to Smat for going crazy with Southside on that one. A bunch of records recently. He worked on Lil Demon with Southside and he has some of my favorite drums that I've heard in recent years. But anyways, for whatever reason, a lot of people struggle to get this distorted, but not too distorted where it ruins the whole beat kind of sound. And I think a lot of people overcomplicate it as well, thinking you need a ton of compressors and plugins and all that just to get your 808s to hit. But Southside isn't doing any of that. He's really just turning the 808 up and running it through the Fruity Sloth clipper, which gives it that signature distorted sound without going over 0 dB. So to get your 808s to hit right, you need a good Spins 808 kind of sound. There's a lot of Spins 808 samples out there, but some of them just sound better than others. So I got this one from Drum Mastery right here, and if we take off all these effects, it sounds like this, right? And what a lot of people will do other than just turning the volume up right here is they'll go in and use this boost knob, right? Which does sound pretty nice, but it kind of over distorts the beat, not in a good way. right? So I like to use this knob instead, which is the EQ knob. Shout out my boy Orsix for putting me onto this, because it gives that same kind of effect, but it's a little bit more tamed. So if we put it like right here, still is giving it that boosted kind of sound, and then maybe move the boost knob up just a tiniest bit. So boost knob just a little bit, and then EQ knob a little bit more. You get that sound. Another thing that makes the 808s and drums hit harder in general is when you mix harsh high-end sounds like an open hat with the 808 hits. When the 808 hits loud enough, it kind of crunches the high end. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but just adds this dirty, saturated kind of sound that just adds that whole trap vibe. And the best way to get that sound, in my opinion, is just adding a harsh hit on the one. You can hear Southside doing this a lot with hi-hat rolls instead of open hats that hit right on the one with the 808 as soon as the drums come in.
Told my story, got it cleared by your daddy. Ain't nigga said fuck me, his bitch like me, and he broke to me.
I got all exotic bitches, you gon' think I'm racist. I just called a.
But for this beat, I wanted to do it with a harsh open hat like the one you can hear on Lil Demon.
Lil Demon in the cut, you mean? Go raiding at the church, you moving wrong.
So I put the open hat on the one every 4 bars, and you get this. And then to add a subtle little change, I wanted to add a second open hat pattern, a super repetitive one that hits every other beat. The same kind of pattern you can hear in this snippet right here. So I added that in, and it sounds like this. Next up, to really add some cool moments with these drums, I wanted to add those snare rolls and 808 rolls. You can easily make your beat sound way harder with these or way worse if you overdo it. You want to kind of walk the line of complexity and simplicity. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is by creating different patterns in the playlist. So what I like to do is I like to get down one drum pattern, and then I make different variations of that throughout the beat with different snare rolls coming in. And in doing this, you add some variation to the beat, and you can also fit in all those cool ideas that you have for the drums without it being overcomplicated. All right, so one of the best ways that you can do these 808 and snare rolls is to kind of use them together, right? So if you have 808 rolls that are doing one thing and snare rolls that are doing another, they can just sound way too crowded and kind of ruin the beat, like I was saying. But if you look right here, I've got these rolls right here. This is the 808. So we got a roll happening right here. It kind of chills right there, rolls up again right here, and then at the end, it kind of gets a little more complicated too. And then if we go look at the snare rolls, you can see that it's doing the same kind of thing. It rolls right there, it stops right there for a second, picks up right there, and then it gets busier right at the end. So listen to how the two of these are working together. And then to get this sound to the rolls, you want to make sure not to do too much of this like velocity kind of stuff, at least for Southside and like Atlanta kind of beats. But I just did a little bit here and there whenever I have a longer roll, because I feel like that helps a little bit. And also, again, you want to make sure you're on third step so you can get those triplets. But I had that first roll right there. Then I have this other roll right here where the 808 does a completely different roll. It's a more busy roll, and there's no snare roll that's going with it. And that's for a different section of the beat. For the last sound, I took some inspiration from Southside's drums on Cloud with that rim shot instead of a snare.
Diamonds on fleek, bitch ain't talking about heat.
So I added a rim shot on this little bridge section of the beat I have where I had the drums chill out, and that sounds like this. And then finally, I don't think I could find any Southside songs where he actually does this. You can let me know in the comments if you know of one, but I accidentally moved the pitch wheel on the melody as I was making the beat, and it just made this crazy effect. So for the intro, I created this automation clip where the melody starts high in pitch and then just slowly kind of glides down into the pitch that it's at for the rest of the beat. You'll hear that in a second, but first, if you enjoyed this video or learned anything, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get more of these videos recommended to you. But anyways, let's hear this beat. Like I said earlier, every single drum sound and all the mixer presets that I use in this video come from my drum mastery kit. I'm not gonna lie, this kit makes it a little bit too easy to make professional sounding drums. Sometimes I feel guilty using the templates because it feels like you could just make something good in like just a few minutes. So if you've been struggling with your drums, I 100% recommend this kit to you. I'm not just saying this because it's mine, but I really think that this is the best drum kit that's been released. It'll be the first link in the description down below, but that's all from me. Peace.